Hello, human being. Oh, what? There we go. And welcome to Random Acts JK. Woo! I'm Jane. I'm Caitlin. And you've just been punked. Takes 7.5. This is really... It's gonna be upside down. This is really Random Acts of MJ. And I'm Jessica. And this is... Jessica too. Alright, that didn't work. Alright!
Jessica Yore. Oh man, she was always the coolest little girl.
Every time I saw Jessie, she was always happy.
She was just really confident. Like, that's the first thing I remember about her, was just how confident she was in whatever she did.
Just filled with joy and energy, and she always had a desire for life. She loved it when it snowed.
If I had known your heart was down that lonely day in grief,
Whenever you needed someone, she was always there. She was very beautiful.
been more concerned.
Out of all my friends' sisters, whenever I went over to Justin's house, she was the only one who was excited I came over.
She was always happy, always outgoing, talking to people, just always doing random stuff whenever I was around her.
She was just very special, very unique.
She was quick. She was definitely a really good person. Although she didn't exactly show it all the time, you could just kind of tell that something was up.
And I would ask her, periodically after that, how things were going. Fine, Mom, fine. They're fine, Mom.
But I heard a lot of cheerleaders and stuff, people like that would say stuff to her because she was really pretty. She was pretty, and a lot of girls were jealous of her because a lot of guys want to talk to her. She was pretty.
But, there's people that don't like people like that, and they like to make themselves feel better by putting other people down.
It just seems that these girls are ruthless. I see it in the school. I mean, you take a pretty girl, the mean girls just want to tear them down.
She was telling me that she was getting bullied, and I just sat down with her. I'm like, listen, if someone's gonna, try and push you around and everything like that, you can't, let yourself get down like that.
I think it happened more at school, like people would call her stuff in the hallway when she was walking. I would hear about stuff they would, people in school that would call her a whore. And
She didn't go to my campus, I went to the other campus, and I know if she went to the campus I went to, it wouldn't have happened because I could have protected her, I could have saw what was going on. However, she went to the other one where all her friends went. And she would say, I would hear from the girls at my campus how mean they're being to her and how they're all treating her. And I personally think that, it was happening all the time.
I guess they'd pretty much just find any reason to just put her down.
She had a lot of support, and other families that she would go, home with the friends and spend the night and go to the mall. She had a typical, childhood, I would say. Other challenges for her in her family, but there was no lack of love there, I don't feel.
Because I could spend an hour explaining to her that everything that they say isn't true, and she's beautiful and she's a great person, but it'll take one word, one simple word, and everything I said just didn't matter anymore.
I know she used to go to the counselors, but they didn't really help her. She would go to them and tell her that she was being bullied. They really wouldn't do anything about it.
She would walk down the hall and be called certain names, and she would bring it to their attention, and they basically dismissed it.
They didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, some of them actually kind of chimed in on it.
As far as in school goes, I heard so many tales from her, from whether it was from like kids, you know, students there, teachers, or parents, or anything like that. Like there was always someone, you know, picking on her.
Teachers?
Yeah.
You say teachers?
Yeah.
This is my 10th year as assistant principal at the school. We're a small school. It's wonderful in many ways to have a small school, but it's a big change when they go from here to a high school like Waukegan High School, where she went. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of kids from all different kinds of, you know, backgrounds. You know, some pretty rough characters that are in the high school. I moved from my home in Waukegan when my son was going to go to high school, because he said, if I have to go to Waukegan High School, I'm dropping out. I'm afraid to go there.
Waukegan isn't exactly the place for someone like her to go. She went anyway. She wanted to go because her friends were there. But the teachers there, there was a few of them. I can't remember names. The teachers were so hell-bent on making sure that, you know, she wasn't feeling as best as she could.
So there was, in your opinion, definitely bullying going on at Waukegan?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And not only with the kids, but some of the parents. She had told me on an occasion we were in the car, I was driving them to the mall, and she had told me of one parent in particular that had called her a name.
So Jesse and Mackenzie, they were really good friends. I would say probably one of her best friends. She ended up going to Waukegan with her to the same campus. And Mackenzie's mom, her house was right down the street from Waukegan. They would end up staying there over after school and everything like that. I ended up to pick her up from there a lot. But that was like pretty much like a home away from home for Jess. Like that was her, like the place that she could go to if something bad happened at school, and she could just like rest until, you know, my grandma or myself came and picked her up to go home.
That was the meeting place, you know, they all met there in their yard, and, you know, they'd had recently months, you know, like a month or two prior to that, had a big party there.
With that, things got, I guess, a little hairy. Mackenzie's mom started commenting on what Jess would wear and everything. She would start, you know, getting a little verbose with it. At one point, I recall, like, plain as day, she calling Jessica white trash.
It was somebody that I know she trusted and felt like a mother type figure. And she came down and showed it to me on her laptop. And the second I read it, I told her, I mean, I was just stunned. I mean, she called her a slut.
That was quite the low blow that seemed out of nowhere, because Mackenzie and Jess were just so close, and, you know, her mom treated Jess like she was her own daughter at one point.
Like I said, it was like a another mother figure to her. So it really hit her hard.
But on Facebook for sure, like without a doubt. I watched as her mom posted some comments onto like some of her pictures or something like that, and Jess would freak out about it. She would see this stuff and see like, you know, all my friends can see that, you know, this, you know, adult is calling me out on all this stuff, like she's calling me names and everything, and she would, you know, she showed it to my mom and I, and then she just deleted it right off the bat.
And I told her, I said, I will call her right now. I said, this is absurd. This is not right. And I cannot believe that she wrote this. And she's like, as she was saying, no, Mom, no, she hit the delete part on it so that it was erased.
First of all, I don't care who, as a parent, you should never call a child a name, especially somebody else's. And for this person to do this to her was wrong. It should not have happened. I asked her if she wanted me to talk to this parent, just to say something to him, and she said no, you know, that's okay. In hindsight, I wish I would have. I wish I would have picked up the phone and called this person and said, why did you say that? But I didn't. I regret it. I completely regret it.
I don't know any of it firsthand. I did hear of it. I think it was kind of like a reality check. Like, I heard, you know, you're not going to hang around with my kid anymore because you're this, that, and the other thing. I don't know any of that to be true firsthand. I can believe it would happen, but it's a horrible thing. And if it did happen, whoever has to live with that for the rest of their life, I wouldn't want to be them.
Not way back, maybe a few months before March, Jess had said something to my mom, and my mom got offended, and Jess didn't understand why she was offended, and my mom had told me, like my mom was mad. She's been offended by a teenager. I'd be mad too. And she said, like, she told me, like, Mackenzie, you can't hang out with Jess that often anymore. And so, of course, being the teenage rebellious daughter that I was, I didn't listen to anything she said, and me and Jess still hung out every day. She came over to my house. My mom never knew. But sometime in February, Jess called my mom and apologized. And I think when this happened, everyone was so quick to put blame on whoever was there. And my mom took it really hard. I think my mom blamed herself, and I think she still blames herself. But I know Jess, and that's not the reason. I mean, I was with Jess every day, even though my mom said no. She called and apologized, and everything was fine. But other people took what they wanted to believe, and they blamed my mom. They blamed Jess's best friend's mom. They blamed Jess's second mom.
The day this all took place is just surreal.
I had been up and everything. I had a long day. Eventually, I had some friends over that were playing music with me, and I thought of inviting her down because she always likes to hang out with people. But for some reason, I didn't. So I ended up going to bed. I didn't really like check up on her because we have rooms right next door to each other on the second floor. I just kind of said night, Jess, and went to bed.
was unconscious when she came home. And when I came to, she was up in her room taking a nap. But she wasn't.
Grandma comes into my room and she wakes me up at about 7 o'clock because that's the time Jessie normally gets up. She woke me up panicking, saying she won't wake up, she won't move, and I'm like, what? And I kind of stumbled out of bed and like looked in the other room and saw that, you know, Jessie's door is wide open, and just kind of went in there, ran in there, and she was just lying there, like, it looked like she was asleep, but she wasn't. She was gone. At the time, I didn't know what happened, I didn't know how it happened, but like, the first thing I did was trying to give her CPR or anything. And like, I just sat there trying and trying and trying just to get anything out of her.
And Justin was trying to do CPR on her. And if I had my legs, I would have been up there. I'm a nurse. I would have known you can't do anything at that point. So it's burned forever in his head.
She was already gone and there wasn't anything, there's no way that they'd be able to get her back.
And I just sitting there in my wheelchair at the stairs, and I'm like, I was waiting to hear the clear and the charge of the machine, because I was ACLS certified, so I know how to do it, what's supposed to happen, and it never happened, so I knew.
During that time, I was completely unstable. I didn't know what to do. I ended up almost fighting with one of the officers there because I was so distraught, but I wasn't about to let people just, you know, come in and, you know, tell me that my sister's dead.
I mean, I remember everything vividly, and it's awful. It replays over and over and over again in my head. I mean, I woke up just like any other day. I was getting ready for school, and I got a phone call, and I couldn't hear anything. He was crying hysterically, and I was like, what? What did you say? I can't hear you. And then I heard, Jess is dead.
I just couldn't believe it. I thought it was all fake. And then I called Mrs. Onan around 9 o'clock, and or I texted her and she just said call me, so I knew it was true, and I just broke down in class and cried.
I was the first person to know about this. I was woken up by Justin. He called me, and all I heard from his panic voice was, she's dead, she's dead. And I was confused. I'm like, what's going on, Justin? And then he explained it to me, and I started to freak out a bit. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Do you need me to, like, tell my mother? And it's like, he's like, don't tell him, like, you know, don't tell him not. He was panicking. And so, from the moment I woke up, I had to keep this from my family. Just because Justin asked me to. And so, all day I knew this. And I went to school, like, you know, I played straight face. Nobody knew I knew it.
When I found out in school, I left and called my mom.
Yeah.
I was just like, did you hear? And she didn't know anything. And I told her, and my mom, first hearing from me, Like, she thought it was like a joke or something, like, not like a joke, but she didn't believe it. And she just started crying and, like, went over to Justin's house and...
Finding out that what my sons had to go through before letting me know, because if me finding out first, I would have freaked out. I'd have been in there with the coroner and just making a mess of everything. So it kind of worked out best me not knowing right away. But then when I did, I ran to Alethea to be by her side.
And I said, "Oh, that can't be true. It can't be true. It's a rumor. It's a vicious rumor or something. You know, it's a joke or something. It can't be true." And I said, "I'll call my son, Andrew, who was friends with Justin." And I called my son. He called me back and said, "Yeah, Mom, it's true. She was gone." And I wanted to get to my daughter before she had heard it from some, you know, in some horrible manner, whether it be online or, you know, from a text or whatever. I did not want her to have to hear that alone, that news.
And I went to her Facebook, and I saw that everyone was posting "Rest in peace" and "I'm gonna miss you." And I'm like, what is going on? I started freaking out, and I started to cry.
She was home from school that day, and I walked in, and she was at the top of the stairs, just screaming out and crying, "No, no, and it can't be true."
And they brought me up the stairs so I could be with her. And that's when I saw her.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a primary responsibility of schools, public or private, to create a safe environment. It's like, to me it feels like it should be like a bedrock fundamental obligation, because you cannot learn, you cannot thrive if you don't feel safe. And when you look at like the statistics, the amount of kids that like just don't go to school on a daily basis, you know, it's probably 200,000 a day because they're too afraid. So we're obligated to do that, and it's doable.
And I really wish I knew why more. I wish she wrote more in her note. There were 2 people that were named in there. I think they were the primary that got to her. I'm gonna find out just who they were and maybe get a little bit more insight to it.
I remember one girl specifically, she was a year older than us, and she would say comments all the time. Stupid comments. Just comments that didn't even make sense. And the day Jess died, we were all called into the library to like talk to counselors and everything, and that girl was there, crying. And I just was so mad. Like, I get it, you feel guilty now, but this is not the time to come and I just wanted her to leave.
But as far as the school goes as a system, they'd end up just not doing anything, really. They wouldn't release any sort of information. They would deny any claims to, you know, if someone was being bullied or anything, just sweeping it under the rug at that point.
They actually didn't want you to mention it. Like, if you talked about it, they'd just be like, yeah, we're just trying to, like, not look at that and, like, just forget about it.
Well, after this happened, I decided it should not ever happen to another child again. There needs to be some laws implemented. So I went to the state representative and met with her, and before even doing so, I had did some investigation online and read up on the laws, and they were very vague. If you go to certain sections, it'll say, oh, go back to section so-and-so, and when you do that, half of the stuff is crossed off. Even in the school handbook, they'll have certain things written out. But yet, these things were happening to Jessica, and nothing came of it. Nothing came of it. It's written in the school laws, but yet nothing happened. Nobody followed through.
I think it's a great injustice if someone's being, bullied and asks for help and isn't supported. I think that that's really real, and I think that it's not at all acceptable. And I hope that there's been some learning. It's a terrible, terrible price to pay when that student who isn't heard does something awful like that. It's really, it's something that educators really need to think about.
I believe there's an obituary, and that was about it.
I wished that they would have even covered it in the New Sun. It was just our obituary and that was it. Like 3 months after Jessica's suicide, it was front page that an 11-year-old, I think she was in Antioch, had committed suicide, and then like a year later, another one, it was like 14, had committed suicide because of bullying.
What happened to those wings and all the things that kept us from going under? Yeah, this world is all gone mad. It's funny and it's sad, but I can hear the freedom bells ringing. Jesus wept and said, rise all ye dead, for the silent will soon be singing.
The state's attorney's office is the prosecuting office for Lake County, Illinois. So essentially, any state level crime that occurs within Lake County is prosecuted by my office. There's a lot of science to this to suggest that those who commit bullying are much more likely to become criminals and to become involved in the criminal justice system as they get older in life. And there's also a lot of science to suggest that those victims of bullying are also going to be more likely to end up in the criminal justice system in one way or another. And the bottom line is, it's just quite frankly, it's just wrong. Whether it's a telephone or Facebook or a text message, it all applies. And the bottom line is what's the intent of the person sending that message, and what is that message? And again, if it's a message that is intended to harass or disturb somebody, and it's a threatening or lewd or obscene message, then that is a crime. If you were to look in Illinois and open up the criminal statute book and look up bullying, you're not going to find a whole lot. There's no real bullying law or anti-bullying law, but there are laws such as telephone harassment or electronic harassment via text messages or things like that. If, for example, if somebody calls somebody with the intent to threaten or harass them and makes lewd or obscene comments, that could potentially be a criminal act. Somebody in their 40s or 30s or 50s or 18, whatever it may be, if somebody sends a message like that to a minor or to anybody, because the age of the victim and the age of the sender for purposes of this statute really aren't relevant. What's relevant is what is the content of the message and what's the intent behind that message.
Yeah.
rectangle one.
Yeah, I think it's further down.
Because it's always been just the three of us. And I was supposed to pass. And it was going to be them.
I was pretty much gearing up for her and I just, you know, back to back against the world pretty much.
The two of them, the team, the dynamic duo.
My whole life started to crumble. Like, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I set up my whole life for protecting her and for providing for her so that she can get what she wanted to do, and then I could just go on with my life from there.
It just hurts, and I do miss Jessie, and I just wish she would have been able to talk to somebody. But who knows where her mind was at that moment.
She was still pure the day she died. So, and I know a lot of girls her age aren't.
Not a day goes by without where I don't go thinking about her at least, 10, 20 times a day.
I can remember so clearly all those minutes of that day and all of us going to church that evening and seeing all of our students who had graduated, the year before and in Jessica's class, and even the year before that, our 8th graders who knew Jessica, was really, really a difficult situation to see them in so much pain.
Okay, hi, my name is Jenny Bradley, and I am a graduate student at Illinois State University, and I'm currently working on research on the effects of death of a peer while in high school. Suicide is the number 3, it's the 3rd leading cause of death in adolescence. So you definitely will your whole life carry that loss with you. I don't think that ever really goes away. I also want to look into every time there's a loss after that, it's going to trigger that loss as well. So.
And just what happened just destroyed me.
I called Jessica's phone like 5 times. No one answered. And then my brother got home and I was screaming.
Came to school, I was sad, just my headphones in all day, didn't want to talk to anybody. Schoolwork started to slack. It was just always on my mind. And even to this day it still hurts.
I mean, after she died, I was so angry. I spent more time being angry than sad. Angry at myself and angry at her. Like, we were best friends. I was supposed to help her, and she was never supposed to leave me. And we both failed. I call her all the time, and I text her, and I watch our videos over and over and over again. I mean, nothing in life prepares you for the death of your best friend.
A bully is a kid that is making some mistakes. And it may not entirely be because they're coming from a really bad place. It could be because that's the way to succeed in the world that they're in, and that they're smart that way, like they've gamed it. So it really depends on the situation. You want to, I think, create like the kinds of consequences that have meaning, not just like suspend a kid, but actually work with them to understand the impact of what they're doing. And within that, you also need to ask yourself those questions of like, why is this student, why is this kid continuing to exhibit these behaviors? And try and do the work of unraveling that.
So the mission of Transformers is to teach children in the area the social, emotional, and problem-solving skills that they need in order to be able to deal with challenging situations at school, on the playground, and at home. And so Transformers is dedicated to promoting civic engagement while establishing a respectful, caring, and accepting environment. 160,000 students a day miss school, not because they're sick, but because they're afraid to go to school. And that's something that we really need to address. We talk about is that when students are taught social emotional learning skills, it reduces the amount of peer aggression, it reduces the amount of antisocial behavior, it improves the amount of pro-social behavior, and it decreases the amount of peer rejection. But most importantly, it increases time on task for the teacher in the classroom, and it has been shown in a meta-analysis to increase academic performance by 11%. So while the state is saying, the Illinois Board of Higher Education is saying that every student in K through 12 should be exposed to these skills, they didn't until just last year adopt SEL as part of the Illinois Professional Teacher Standards. So it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, that we have these standards for the kids, but if we can't teach teachers how to model these skills, how can we teach them how to teach these skills? And so that's where we come in.
I always try to appeal to kids that say things, before in pre-bullying stages, hopefully, to a sense of what is right, We don't know what that child that you're making fun of or saying things about what they're going through. They don't know what kind of life they live outside of the school, how many trials and tribulations they have, which was the case with our Jessica. But part of our job is to teach kids before they become bullies. Under our anti-bullying policy, bullying is contrary to gospel values and has no place in the Catholic school community.
School is supposed to be a place to learn, and enrich and grow, not stifle and rip apart.
Miss you. I cared a lot about you, and I just wish you could have seen that. It wouldn't have to be like this, where we'd have to go on without you. But we all miss you.
If somebody's feeling like there's, that dying by suicide is a way out, I really encourage them. They have to seek help. They have to talk to somebody. There's helplines, there's support that they can get if they're not getting it at school or at home. It is not an option.
Life is so precious. And chances are, if people are doing that to you, it's because they're jealous or they have their own deep-seated problems and just picked you for some reason to take it out on.
Don't look so much at the present and just find those people that you can trust, those people who are good to you, and just cling on to them. Don't hang around the people who are being jerks and are just bringing you down in life always. And you just can't, you can't stay at the present. You have to look at the future, look where you want to go, and find those teachers who motivate you and are your mentors and can bring you to where you want to be.
You feel that desperate, just talk to anybody, pick up the phone, talk to your friend, talk to your parents, just, a trusted teacher, anybody, but, don't ever feel that helpless.
Think of the people who love you, and to talk to someone if you really feel like you have no way, you feel helpless. You should really talk to someone.
And like I said, one day makes a difference. And if you can just get through that one day, no matter what you do, Whether you watch a movie that makes you laugh or makes you cry or talk to somebody you care about, or one day it can make a difference.
This is just a moment. You know, you have to get past this moment. Go do something, because that's what it is. If Jessie would have just gotten past that moment, whatever was going through her head, something would have distracted her, something would have just, I felt that this wouldn't have happened.
Everyone has their problems, but life goes on. I know it's a general statement, and it's, of course, it's hard to follow by when people are in a tough situation. But even if you got that tough situation, it's always going to pass by. You're not going to have all those gloomy days every single day the rest of your life.
You're not alone. And I know right now you may not feel like you're okay, but it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And there's always people to help. Don't do it.
That no matter how dark your life may get, that there's always some kind of solution. There's gotta be some way to fight, you know? And I know it's tough. But it's not worth it. It's not worth to throw your life away over. You gotta stay strong for the ones who care about you. If you have anybody that cares about you, you know, keep them close.
I miss you. I love you. I wish you were back. I think it's really stupid what you did. And we all miss you. We all love you.
I would just say to her that I love her and I wish she was here still. And I'm just sad that she did it.
I miss her every day. She's my sister. I always reference, she was always my sister. Always, whenever, you know, that was her relationship with me. Not a friend, not my best friend's sister. She was my sister. I looked after her whenever I could.
I miss her dearly, and I wish she would have talked to me.
I would tell her that I really miss her, and if she never did it, you know, she could have come to talk to me, and that I love her.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. I'm sorry I didn't do what was in my heart. And I miss her every second of the day. And I'm gonna come home to her soon.
I get it, you know, she had to go, but that I miss her and that I love her, you know. That not a day goes by that I don't go about, you know, thinking about all the stuff that we could have done and what we should have, you know. But I guess plainly put, that I love her.
Did you forget that I was even alive? Did you forget everything we ever had? Did you forget? Did you forget about me? Did you regret? Did you regret ever standing by my side? Did you forget? Did you forget we were feeling inside? No one left to forget about us. But somewhere we went wrong. We were once so strong. Our love is like a song. You can't forget it. So now I guess this is where we have to stand. Did you regret ever holding my hand? Never again. Please don't forget. Don't forget. We had it all. We were just about to fall even more in love than we were before. I won't forget. I won't forget about us. But somewhere we went wrong. We were once so strong. Our love is like a song. You can't forget it. Somewhere we went wrong. We were once so strong. Our love is like a song. You can't forget it at all. And at last, all the pictures have been burned. All the past. It's just a lesson that we've learned. I won't forget. Please don't forget us. Somewhere we went wrong. Our love is like a song, but you won't sing along. You've forgotten about us.